So if you want to pull off like the absolute hardest thing on your bucket list, the very first thing you need to do is, well, stop trying to be so independent.
Right. Which is tough for people.
Oh, it's incredibly tough. I
Uh,
mean, most of us hear Eleanor Roosevelt's famous challenge, you must do the thing you think you cannot do,
Yeah.
and we immediately picture this, like, solitary mission.
Yeah, the rugged individual just gritting their teeth on a mountaintop somewhere.
Exactly.
It's a very pervasive cultural myth. We're basically conditioned to think that the ultimate test of strength is pushing through pain completely alone.
But today's deep dive is going to prove why that rugged solo achiever model is mathematically set up to fail.
Utterly set up to fail.
Yeah. So we're looking at a curated compilation of sources today. It's known as Day 157, and it completely flips the script on how we handle massive challenges.
It really does. It argues that the hardest obstacles we face are rarely physical or even professional.
Right.
They're relational. So the thing you think you cannot do is usually the thing you cannot do alone.
Which is such a powerful reframe. And I think the breadth of the sources in this compilation is what makes the argument so compelling for me.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're synthesizing insights from science fiction author Ursula K. Le Guin,
A legend.
total legend, along with the writer Stephen Pressfield, some ancient philosophical traditions, and even some legendary sports coaches.
Quite the mix.
It is, but they all converge on this one incredibly counterintuitive framework about how human beings actually accomplish difficult things.
Okay, let's unpack this, because there is a serious tension at the heart of this compilation.
Right.
We normally treat extreme personal autonomy and deep interdependent partnership as polar opposites.
Yeah.
Like you either get to be a completely free spirit or you tie yourself down in a relationship or a team.
You pick one or the other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the sources argue these aren't opposites at all. They are sequential.
Yes.
You actually have to achieve total internal autonomy first, simply to make genuine partnership possible.
Yeah, and trying to skip that internal work is precisely what ruins the equation of a partnership.
Right.
To see what a successful equation looks like when the sequence is done right, the compilation uses Ursula K. Le Guin as a baseline.
And her output was, frankly, absurd.
It was.
We are talking about over 24 novels, 13 children's books, volumes of poetry, translating, teaching. I mean, she fundamentally reshaped the entire science fiction genre.
All while raising 3 kids and being married to a historian.
Right. So when people asked her how she pulled that off, she didn't offer up some poetic, flowery sentiment about love conquering all.
No, not at all.
She gave them a math equation.
She did. She essentially noted that one person cannot do 2 full-time jobs. Like writing is a full-time job and raising children is a full-time job.
Yeah.
But she said 2 people can do 3 full-time jobs.
So 1 + 1 = 3.
Exactly. From a load-bearing perspective, yes. A genuine partnership generates a structural surplus.
A structural surplus.
Right. It isn't about 2 people dividing chores 50-50. It's about removing the friction of self-protection.
Oh, that's interesting.
The compilation brings in a concept from the business book, The Magic of Thinking Big, right here. It argues that when you view a team's interests as identical to your own, it isn't a selfless sacrifice.
Which is how most people view it, I think.
Sure, but it's actually a highly efficient energy conservation strategy. You stop wasting cognitive energy guarding your territory or, tracking who owes who.
Okay, let me try to visualize this. It's like a dual-engine jet.
Okay.
2 engines don't compromise with each other. One doesn't say, like, I'll thrust a little less if you take the left side.
Right.
They sync up completely.
Yeah.
But to push that further, if they are out of sync, they create aerodynamic drag.
Mm-hmm.
They actually fight the physics of the plane.
That's a great way to put it.
And when they perfectly align, they eliminate that drag and can suddenly break the sound barrier.
That aerodynamic drag is a perfect analogy. The energy you used to spend fighting each other or just protecting your own ego is suddenly converted into pure forward momentum.
Wow.
The partnership produces more energy than it consumes.
But I mean, if this structural surplus is so powerful, like if 1 + 1 = 3 is a real thing, why does this break down for almost everyone?
It's the million-dollar question.
Right. Whether it's a marriage, a startup co-founder situation, a band, we are notoriously terrible at partnering.
Yeah.
Where is the drag actually coming from in our daily lives?
Well, the drag comes from the audience in our heads.
The audience in our heads.
Yeah. You cannot be truly present with a partner or, sync those jet engines if one of you is subconsciously performing for a crowd.
Ah. This brings us to Stephen Pressfield's concept of there is no tribe.
Exactly.
Now, I've read a lot of Pressfield, and he's usually focused on overcoming procrastination, the whole resistance thing.
Right.
But here, he is diagnosing a much deeper psychological block.
He isolates our dread of full self-expression.
Yeah.
We hold back in relationships and in our work because we are terrified of being exiled. We imagine our quote-unquote tribe, our industry peers, our social circle, our extended family, is just scrutinizing every move we make.
Like we're constantly on stage.
Exactly. We fear being called weird or foolish, so we hedge our bets. We keep one foot out the door.
And Pressfield points out that this tribunal we are so terrified of just doesn't actually exist.
It's completely made up.
He puts it bluntly. He says the tribe doesn't the tribe doesn't care. Every single person in that imaginary audience is so tangled up in their own daily chaos, their own imposter syndrome, and their own insecurities that they do not have 2 seconds to evaluate your life choices.
And understanding that reality is a mandatory prerequisite for Le Guin's math.
Okay, how so?
Because you cannot merge interests with your partner if your primary interest is still appeasing a phantom jury.
Right. You're distracted.
Pressfield performs this psychological demolition here. He bulldozes that fake audience.
I love that.
The amateur is paralyzed by the gaze of the tribe. The professional understands the only days that matters is the one looking back in the mirror.
Here's where it gets really interesting for anyone listening right now. Just think about how much energy you spend trying to manage how you appear to people who aren't even paying attention.
It's exhausting.
It is. And if we loop back to Eleanor Roosevelt's "the thing you think you cannot do," we usually assume the barrier is a lack of skill or resources. But Pressfield suggests the barrier is mostly an illusion.
An illusion we created.
Yeah, it is a social constraint we invented.
You've essentially built a psychological cage, walked inside, and handed the key to an imaginary guard.
Man.
Pressfield is just pointing out that the door was never locked in the first place. You can just walk out.
I can see how liberating it is to realize no one is watching. But I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
If I completely abandon social expectations and stop caring what the tribe thinks, what prevents this from devolving into total selfishness? Like, how do we govern our actions in a partnership if we just throw out the social rules?
Well, that is the ultimate risk, right? But abandoning the tribe doesn't mean abandoning ethics.
Okay.
It means shifting from following rules out of fear to breaking them out of a deeper commitment. The compilation uses this very brief parable by Anthony de Mello to illustrate this transition.
The monastery one.
Yeah. A master warns his students against the tyranny of the law, telling them, obedience keeps the rules. Love knows when to break them.
You know, I struggled with that quote initially.
Really? Why?
Well, love knows when to break them sounds a bit like a bumper sticker to me.
Ah, I see what you mean.
Like, what does that actually look like in practice, especially in a high-stakes partnership?
Think about rigid rule following as a way to outsource your moral judgment.
Outsource it.
Yeah. When you strictly obey a set of rules, you reduce your cognitive load. You don't have to think, you don't have to analyze the context, you just follow the manual.
Oh, I see. It's safe.
Exactly, it's safe. But a person acting from genuine care has internalized the principles so deeply that the rules are just a starting point.
Right.
I mean, Le Guin and her husband didn't achieve that massive output by strictly enforcing a chore chart based on traditional 1960s gender rules.
Definitely not.
They constantly bent and broke societal expectations to make their specific equation work.
So, rigid rule following is actually a form of hiding.
Yes. Often, it is a refusal to engage with the nuance and the messiness of reality. Taking responsibility for breaking a rule requires a lot of courage.
That maps perfectly onto a quote from Nicole Azevedo in the compilation.
Oh, the open-minded one.
Yeah. She observes that the less open-minded someone is, the more open-mouthed they tend to be. The loudest people in the room, the ones banging the table about how things, quote-unquote, must be done according to the rule book, are usually projecting certainty to cover up their own rigidity.
They need the external rules to be absolute because they lack an internal compass. If the rule bends, their whole worldview shatters.
Wow.
They are loud because they are terrified of ambiguity.
And then the text contrasts that loud rigidity with an Arab proverb. The fruit of silence is tranquility.
Yes.
Let me piece this together. If the open-mouthed rule followers are just projecting fear, then silence isn't just about finding a quiet room to relax.
No, not at all.
Silence is actually a diagnostic tool.
That is a brilliant way to frame it. Silence is the laboratory where you test your own motives.
So you use the silence to hear whether you're about to act out of genuine love and commitment to the partnership, or if you're just falling back on a rule because you're scared of the tribe's judgment.
Yes. You need the quiet to discern the difference.
That makes total sense.
But even with that diagnostic tool, we still need stakes. If we are substituting rules for love, we need to understand the architectural consequences of our actions so that, love doesn't just become a convenient excuse for self-serving behavior.
Right, because otherwise it just becomes chaos.
Exactly. We need a mechanism for accountability.
And the compilation brings out the heavy hitters for this.
It really does.
We dive into Leo Tolstoy's Calendar of Wisdom, which draws heavily on Buddhist thought, the Dhammapada, and the philosopher Francis Bacon.
Quite the lineup.
Yeah, and they all hammer on this concept of causality. Basically, that your actions invariably boomerang back to you.
The Buddhist phrasing they use is quite visual. When you throw a ball up in the air, it doesn't stay there, it returns to the earth.
Right.
Similarly, your actions, good or bad, will return to you. And then Francis Bacon grounds this psychologically.
By pointing out that a person brooding on revenge is only keeping their own wounds open. We hear modern secular versions of this all the time, too. Like, Les Brown is quoted saying, "Help others achieve their dreams and you will achieve yours."
Right.
But honestly, I always read quotes like that as motivational fluff.
Just kind of a feel-good sentiment.
Yeah, like be nice to people and good things happen. But Tolstoy is framing this as something much more mechanical.
He is framing it as physics.
Physics.
Causality is not a mystical universe handing out karma points for good behavior.
Right.
It is deeply architectural. The habits, intentions, and reactions you project outward literally build the psychological house you have to live in.
Okay, let's ground this in a real-world scenario.
Okay. Say you operate in a somewhat toxic office environment, and you decide the best defense is to treat your coworkers with constant suspicion.
Fairly common.
You double-check their work, you withhold information, you assume they are out to get you.
Because you're trying to protect yourself from being taken advantage of.
Right. But look at the architecture of that choice. By acting suspiciously day after day, you physically train your own brain to perceive threats everywhere.
Oh, wow.
You build a suspicious mind, you construct a reality where you can never relax, never trust, and never experience the structural surplus of a team.
Your method of protection becomes your punishment.
Exactly.
That fundamentally changes how I view the concept from the magic of thinking big we discussed earlier.
How so?
Well, if our actions are architectural, then prioritizing your partner or putting immense value on your customers isn't some noble sacrifice. It is literally compounding your own character.
Yes.
You are intentionally throwing a very specific ball into the air, knowing exactly how it is going to alter your environment when it lands.
A life of absolute autonomy without virtue isn't freedom. It is an accelerated return of harm.
That is heavy.
It is. The integrity you practice is the infrastructure that allows a partnership to hold weight. Without it, Le Guin's 1 + 1 = 3 math just collapses under its own structural flaws.
Okay, so we've dismantled the fake audience in our heads.
Yeah.
We've learned to use silence to navigate between fear-based rules and love-driven principles.
Yeah.
And we understand the architectural boomerang of our own character.
Right.
But here, the real world is still incredibly messy.
Always.
Partnerships hit friction. Businesses lose funding. Health fails. How do we translate this deeply internal philosophy into an uncooperative physical world?
By committing to action, even when the variables are completely unknown.
Okay.
Sources pivot sharply here from introspection to execution. There is a quote from comedian Aziz Ansari about intellectual partnership.
Oh, I remember this. Steal as much wisdom from other people as you can.
Right. It is an acknowledgement that internal autonomy doesn't mean having all the answers. It means having the humility to borrow someone else's clarity when yours fails.
There's also this fantastic instruction from the athletic world included in the text. Refuse to hit a shot until your mind is fully committed and locked in on your target.
That is the physical application of everything we've just discussed.
Yeah.
You cannot hit the shot if you are still worrying about the tribe and the bleachers.
Right.
You cannot hit the shot if you are trying to remember a rigid checklist of rules for your swing. You have to lock in on the core principle of the movement and commit.
But what happens when you lock in? You take the shot and you completely miss.
Which happens.
Right. The compilation brings in these heavy-hitting action quotes right at the end to address this. John Wooden saying, failure to act is the biggest failure.
FDR saying to just take a method and try something.
Right. And Simon Sinek warning to always plan for the fact that no plan goes according to plan.
Exactly.
But there's a risk here of just throwing a bunch of inspirational quotes at a wall.
Mhm.
How do these actually function together in a crisis?
Think about why Sinek says plans always fail.
Very good.
A plan is essentially a rigid set of rules you've written for the future. And as we established with DeMello, rules break under pressure. Principles, however, can pivot. All this inner work isn't designed to guarantee your plans succeed.
Which is what we all secretly want, let's be
Of
honest.
course, that's a trap many people fall into. They think if they do enough personal growth, the world will just stop being hard.
Right.
The inner work is designed to give you the clarity to act when the plans inevitably fall apart.
So when the crisis hits, the person obsessed with the rules just freezes.
Precisely. But the person operating on principles, the person who has dissolved the fake audience and built their character, can adapt. They can try something, as FDR suggests, without being paralyzed by the fear of looking foolish to the tribe.
So what does this all mean? Let's bring it home with the final quote from Thomas Jefferson. When you reach the end of your rope, tie a knot in it and hang on.
It's a classic.
It is. Usually when I picture tying that knot, I imagine raw, solitary willpower. I picture someone with blistered hands, completely alone, just gritting their teeth and holding on for dear life.
Which is the exact rugged individual myth we started this whole conversation with.
Right. But based on this deep dive, that knot isn't made of willpower at all.
No.
The knot is woven out of everything we just talked about.
Yes.
It is made from the fears you've diagnosed and dissolved in silence.
Mm.
It is woven from the genuine partnerships you've built because you stopped performing for a fake audience.
Absolutely.
But it's the compounded character you've earned by treating others as extensions of yourself.
You are hanging on with the strength of the surplus you've created. The solo achiever might snap the rope when the tension gets too high.
Because they're alone.
Right. But the person who has done this sequential work building internal autonomy to achieve deep interdependence can hold on indefinitely because the math is fundamentally on their side.
Which brings us all the way back to Eleanor Roosevelt's challenge. You must do the thing you think you cannot do.
The big challenge.
Well, the massive career shift, the life overhaul, the impossible project. The thing you think you cannot do is the thing you cannot do alone.
Right.
But you can do it together. You
Yeah.
can do it once you stop trying to appease an audience that isn't even watching.
Yeah.
You can do it once you let love bend the rigid rules you've been hiding behind. And you can do it once you realize that your character isn't a cage. It is the very infrastructure of your freedom.
It's a total paradigm shift, moving from the illusion of isolation to the immense power of intentional interdependence.
So for you listening right now, as you head back into your work, your partnerships, and your messy reality, we want to leave you with a challenge based on this compilation.
A little homework.
Exactly. If your tribe is a phantom, and every single action you take is a boomerang that physically builds your future reality, what is one rigid rule in your life right now that you are strictly obeying out of fear, which you should actually be breaking out of love? Take a minute to think about it. We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.